What is up, guys? You are now tuned in to the Mike and D Hot Take Show here on the Casual Wrestling YouTube channel. I am your host for the night, the notorious nerdy D minus Mike. It appears that he got howdied today, so there's no telling how long that it takes to come back for that. So I will be rolling solo tonight. So if you want to jump into the chat and drop your hot takes, we can talk about those. I do have a couple hot takes to drop tonight, though. If you're new here to the community, this can be a participation show. If you jump into the chat and you drop a question or you drop a comment, it is more than likely going to get read out loud, and we will talk about it. You can support the channel with a Casual Wrestling Plus YouTube subscription for just $2.99 a month on YouTube. That helps us keep the lights on here in the studio. But if you would rather just drop a YouTube super chat as well, you can do that to have your voice heard on the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure to join the Casual Wrestling Discord channel where the gloves come off and it's not for the easily offended. Only join if you're not a baby bag bitch. I'll tell you that. Don't join if you're gonna piss and complain and you're gonna cry and your feelings get hurt real easy. Don't join our Discord. We don't want you. It's not for the fans. We have fun. We have fun in the Discord, and we poke fun at each other, and it's a good time. But it's that time again, guys. It is time to set the wrestling world on fire. Time to tickle the brains of the casual wrestling fans. It's time to drop my hottest, sweatiest takes on the community, starting with take number one. And that is, this might come out of left field. This may sound absurd to some people, but this is what I want to see right now. I need the following list of names from Friday Night Smackdown to turn heel immediately. I got three names for you guys: Tommaso Ciampa, Randy Orton, and here's a bomb for you: Austin Theory. Now, you heard me correctly, because everybody's like, Austin Theory, he's already a heel. He's already a bad guy. No. He's not a bad guy. He's a goofball right now. Everybody talking about Austin Theory's going to turn babyface. That's not what needs to happen. What really needs to happen is that Austin Theory needs to go back to being a heel, a cocky, chosen one, straight up in your face, dislikable heel. He needs to, at some point in the next 2 weeks, turn on Grayson Waller, beat the living shit out of Grayson Waller in the middle of the ring, grab his cell phone, live stream the whole thing, end it with taking a selfie of himself and Grayson Waller, post it on Instagram with the caption, "I'm back." That's what has to happen for Austin Theory. No more of this goofy shit. He needs to turn his attention to actually destroying the mid-card. He's got to come out of the dirt, come out of the mud. He's got to quit with this just being another one of the guys. There is a superstar in Austin Theory, and I don't think that superstar exists as a babyface. There is a reality where Austin Theory, going back to the gimmick that Vince McMahon gave him, can be a viable bad guy for Cody Rhodes. He can look Cody in the eyes. If he runs through the mid-card, he can look Cody Rhodes in the eyes. He can go, "I'm younger than you. I'm more athletic than you. I'm better than you." And that's why I think that Austin Theory should turn heel. Now, Randy Orton is pretty self-explanatory, right? SmackDown needs heels. Cody Rhodes needs a bad guy. He needs his Lex Luthor. It seems like Randy Orton's just that guy. It just seems to me like Randy Orton is the optimal choice. If we're not going to do it with KO, then let's do it with Randy Orton. The story, the history, it's all there. You don't need a lot of setup. We can get right into it, and you can take the next 2 months to run a story while you're building up your Austin Theory. But the third name is Tommaso Ciampa. We are wasting Tommaso Ciampa right now in this goofy sidekick to Johnny Gargano tag team bullshit. The tag team divisions are trash. They're garbage, dog water. Triple H does not know how to run a tag team division. So let's stop putting these guys who have tons of potential, like Tommaso Ciampa. Let's stop putting them in goofy tag teams. Let's let Tommaso Ciampa turn on Johnny Gargano, beat the life out of him. Let's go back to the old music. Let's go back to the old entrance. Let's go back to the old attitude. It's easy turn. It's easy to accomplish. It's super easy. Just have him beat up Mr. Goofy Johnny Gargano and just bring back the intensity of the old Tommaso Ciampa. It's a very similar story to the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre story, and the fact that you can run it with Tommaso Ciampa turns on him. They have the first match. Tommaso Ciampa beats the shit out of him. Easy victory, right? Then you have the second match where Johnny Gargano figures out a way to overcome the odds, and he beats Tommaso Ciampa. And then you finish it with a rubber match where Tommaso Ciampa just goes straight villainous, just goes old school, old attitude, old music, old entrance. The IWC pops, the casual fans pop, and you now have another viable heel for Cody Rhodes. Because right now on SmackDown, there's a huge issue. There are no bad guys. There is nobody lined up for Cody Rhodes. If you're telling me it's going to be Kevin Owens and we're just going to keep teasing this turn, and then what? After that, who is it? Who is it? These three names need to turn. These three guys can be next in line. This can be a legacy for Cody Rhodes, but you have to do it intelligently. Randy Orton, we can do immediately. Austin Theory, it's not going to take long. If you turn Austin Theory back into the cocky cell phone gimmick, it won't take long for the fans to start hating Austin Theory again. And then you can follow that up on the back end with a Tommaso Ciampa who's turned on Gargano, picked up a couple victories, and actually stepped up and done his thing. But that's my first take. Now I see We Too Deep saying Montez Ford needs to turn heel. I don't know. I think that with Montez Ford, I think there's a baby face there. I really do. I think that Montez Ford is extremely likable. I think Montez Ford is more likable than Austin Theory is. I don't foresee the world where Austin Theory makes the turn to babyface and we all just go, oh, we love him now. We think he's great. Austin Theory works as a heel. Austin Theory had a solid thing going when he had the cell phone and he was running the gimmick that way. I think Montez Ford makes for a better babyface. I do. I get the built-in ability to have Montez turn on Dawkins, but I actually think that the other way makes more sense. I think you have Dawkins turn on Montez and you say, look, I'm tired of being second to you. I'm tired of you always, everybody's always talking about how you deserve this. And I think that Montez Ford works in the sympathetic baby face to get over. And then I think you have your next, you can start building towards what is the next kind of version of John Cena and Cody Rhodes, because I think Montez Ford, with his history, with his personality, his likability, his athleticism, I think he has everything it takes to be that number one guy on a brand, especially like SmackDown. I 100% think that is possible. I see in the chat here, Dead Chef started off with, do you think Odyssey Jones was really fired? I do. I think that before I got on, I've seen that there was a Twitter account that has been tweeting this stuff for a long time. Now, there's no credibility in that, but it looks like that you can trace back a lot of what's happening back to this one account where this person has been talking about this for a long time, saying this was coming. So I think if you follow that lead, I think it's fairly obvious that Odyssey Jones is probably in some hot water. I don't know what it's for. You can start deciphering the facts that you see on the internet and try to pick through what you think is real and what's not. You don't think that they are going to wait till there's an arrest? No, because this is how I imagine it happened. I imagine they called Odyssey in, or they pick up the phone, they call Odyssey, they go, did this happen? And it feels like to me that to get fired immediately, he had the answer to that question had to be yes. Like whatever did happen, I'm gonna own up to it. And WWE said, all right, we've got to cut the cord on this before it gets too far. Because if all this information was out there, and if you could go look it up on Twitter, there's an account that has been tweeting this stuff for weeks now at major content creators. Someone like Santi asked what's your favorite match of all time? And this account was like Odyssey versus beating me up or something to that extent, allegedly. I don't know. But so the information's out there. You can chase it. And I think that if WWE, if they talk to him and in any form or fashion, they were just like, look, tell us the truth. And you know, we could try to make this go away quietly and you can go figure it out. But I think that in some form or fashion, Odyssey had to have said, yeah, this is real. This really happened. My second hot take for tonight is, let's see what you got, We Too Deep. WWE has a history of firing before arrest and even just on rumors. Velveteen Dream and Enzo are prime examples. Yeah, and I mean, and I don't necessarily even blame them because with all of the Vince McMahon shit and all the bad publicity, I think they're better to just be on this side of history. Now, I don't, from like a political standpoint or personal beliefs, I don't know that I believe it, but I believe as a company in the position that WWE is currently in, I don't think it's a bad idea to just get in front of something and be like, look, if we're wrong, we can always go make right with Odyssey Jones at some point, but let's not keep employing and keep pushing this guy in a storyline. So even the misperception could be that like we continued pushing him knowing this information was available. All right, so my second take, and it's honesty time. It's time for us to be honest as a group of fans, and that is we have had a very solid summer of wrestling, but all of these storylines in WWE, all of these big storylines that ended at SummerSlam, and even some that have continued past, have begun to go cold and stale. And that's not me being a hater. I don't want this to come off as me being a hater. This is me trying to be a realist when it comes to how wrestling works, right? CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, best thing on TV, best thing in wrestling. I'm not here to argue that with anybody. That thing is still going. That thing is still on fire. I'm not mad. We can do the thing. We can do the song and dance where we all jump up, because I've done this, and we go, well, as long as SmackDown's on Fox, nothing really good's going to happen there. I'm starting to think that's not the case. It will get better, but I still don't. We're not going back to what we had this summer. And we could do the thing where when Raw goes to Netflix, it's going to be amazing. It will get better, but I don't think it's going to fix all of the problems. The reality is, I think, I've said this before, Triple H blew his load at SummerSlam. He let it all go. He fired every bullet he had in the chamber, and he was like, we'll figure it out when we get out of there. And so now we're out of there, and we had Bash at Berlin, and that's being kind of written off as, well, that's a fan service event. That was the Gunther event. That's how it goes. I'm like, cool, right? That's good. But now we're heading into Bad Blood, and pieces aren't necessarily falling together that we thought were going to fall together. If we look at the stories as a whole right now, right? We have Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, who I called this. This is an ending at Bad Blood. This thing, Triple H has this thing set on low to medium, and he's going to let it cook, and he's going to get longevity out of this story. This thing is not nearly done. It now looks like Jey Uso's becoming a part of this. This thing is going to, excuse me, the gravitational pull of this thing is going to bring other people in. And it's starting to look like it could fuck with bloodline stuff. And you know, I'm seeing people say now that Survivor Series is where we do Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and things like that. So that's interesting to me. I think the bloodline story has gone completely stale. I think if the bloodline on SmackDown are contending with DIY and the Street Profits, that story has cooled off completely. That is not the direction that needed to go. Why did we bring Roman Reigns back for 2 to 3 weeks? We get everybody all excited to take him away and then go, all right, you know what we're going to do with the bloodline? We're going to have them feud with 2 random tag teams because the tag team divisions don't matter anymore. We're just going to do whatever we want, right? That, to me, weird. Don't love it. It's stale. We can talk about the Wyatt Six. And I know this pisses a lot of people off, but the Wyatt Six are stale already. They're boring. They don't make sense. They're ruining something that actually could be good on Monday Night Raw. And instead, what we're doing is we're inserting the Wyatt Six in for fan service. We're doing it because they're a spectacle, because there is just a certain amount of people who are going to sympathize with Bo Dallas and say, yeah, it's not a tribute band, but of course it's his brother. They mirror what I say without wanting to say it. The reality is the Wyatt Six is not going to get over. It is not. It's going to be a fan service thing. It's literally what Bray Wyatt ended up being in his career. It's fun. The entrance is fun, but when it comes put up or shut up, it just doesn't hit to that level that we kind of became expectant to this past summer. Then you got these weird stories sprinkled in, like the stud line and Zelina Vega. I don't know who's asking for that. I don't know why we're filling Monday Night Raw with those stories. Right now, we just talked about Cody Rhodes has no real heel. So we're putting them against baby faces and we're teasing turns, but they're not really happening. It's all smoke and mirrors. You've got Gunther, who I know some of you guys love him, but the reality is we have to be honest. This Gunther and Sammy thing ain't it. It makes sense. It's a great stepping stone for Gunther, but in a time where you have nothing else going on, there's nothing else going on except Drew and CM Punk, I don't know that this is the direction I go with Gunther right now. I think it's a stepping stone. I definitely think that Gunther and Sammy needed to meet at some point in time. I just don't know if right now was the moment I do that. And then we talked about it, all three tag team divisions in complete shambles. So all tag team divisions in complete shambles. You now have Odyssey Jones just gone. So the New Day story, complete halt. That halts Karrion Kross. That halts Kofi Kingston. That halts whatever was in the works for Xavier Woods. Stale. We've gone a little bit stale. And it's okay. That's the natural ups and downs of professional wrestling. I question. The thing I question is, you're cooking with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. You've got that right, okay? I think that Triple H is onto something by having LA Knight do an open challenge because it's a little bit of a crutch. It's a little bit of a cheating way. The United States Championship has always lended itself to this idea that you don't really have to book stories because the title is the story. There's a lineage of open challenges. So, and I think that works. I think LA Knight works for that because he can so quickly get into an emotional state with another character that he's the perfect guy to be United States champion. And then we have Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed feels like trending in the right direction. Hopefully this COVID stuff doesn't mess him up. But I'm not trying to be negative. I will continue to watch. I'll continue to look for the bright spots on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. We'll continue to poke fun at the bad shit. But I think we have to be real. The honeymoon with Triple H might be over. It might be time to take an objective look at what's happening in the next 3 or 4 months and go, all right, how are we getting to some of these things that, we expect, or I'm not going to say we, because a lot of y'all don't expect it. I expect Survivor Series to be Bloodline versus Bloodline, but you're starting to see other things fall into place that make you go, maybe that's just not the plan. And if that's not the plan, are we really okay? Are we all really okay with the option of Survivor Series ended up being another Super Friends, Team Cody, KO, Cody Rhodes, all these guys versus some mishmash of heels thrown together? Are we really okay with the idea that the women's is going to be the stud line versus Damage Control or some weird mishmash? I'm not okay with we've always said it, right? Cold winters for WWE. WWE typically has cold winters. I think we were expecting it to be different this year, and I think our expectations were wrong. I think really, if some of these things don't pan out, I think that we could be in trouble. I did see that We Too Deep, that Hulk Hogan said that Logan Paul should turn face and join Roman Reigns. That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You have so much set up. You have so much set up for the bloodline, and then it's Logan's the guy who comes back and save him. Come on, man. That Hulk Hogan, you know better than that. What's up, JB Bram or J Bram Adventure? Do they need a War Games every year? Talk to your boy We Too Deep. He doesn't think so. We Too Deep doesn't think so. We Too Deep has been a huge proponent of not having War Games every year. I am a fan of the gimmick match, so I would say, yeah, I like it. I think it's fun. I think that, I don't think it's a break glass in case of an emergency, and that's what it's starting to feel like, is that we don't have to build towards it. We just show up and stick, 10 people in cages and have them run to the ring, and that fans are going to clap because it's carnage and it's savage and it's different. I'm not of that belief. I still think that you need to build the storyline, and I still believe right now the only play that there is to get the bloodline into that match. I just truly believe. I believe that if it is not bloodline versus bloodline at Survivor Series, I think you lose a lot of investment from people who have put 3 or 4 years into this Roman Reigns stuff. I truly do believe that. But the bigger question I have is, what are we doing with guys like Montez Ford? Why, if right now, if we're in this lull, right, if things are going stale, Montez Ford is an instant energy booster. Like we just talked about, turning Dawkins on Montez Ford, or turning Montez on Dawkins, is an immediate boost to your storytelling. It's immediately exciting, right? What are we doing with Chelsea Green? Like I understand that Tiffany Stratton is involved in what's going on with Nia Jax, but it wouldn't hurt on a week-to-week basis to see Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton interact. I think there's a story there. You had these seeds planted at Money in the Bank. Why not water them and see where they go? Like, what are we doing with Chad Gable? We've got him locked into, like Chad Gable was on a meteoric rise, and it's been completely stalled. It's completely stale. Like, this Wyatt Six thing's not working, and that's fine. Move them on. Have them go after somebody else. We got robbed of a proper American-made versus Alpha Academy storyline because we inserted in the Spirit Factory or the Spirit Halloween store. That there's a reason things are going stale, and I think it is right now that Triple H is booking so long-term now. I think Triple H is looking 6 months. Triple H is booking for WrestleMania. And by doing that, he goes, all right, you know what? We'll just fill in the next 6 months. And then when we get to WrestleMania, everybody will forget what's going on because we'll do Roman versus Rock. We'll do Cody versus Cena or Gunther versus Cena. We'll put all the big names, all the big lights, and everybody will forgive me. And they'll tell me how great I am. But I don't think that's going to fly. I don't think for the next 6 months that's going to fly. I think we're going to grow tired. I think we'll start to pick up on things going stale. Like, Pretty Deadly's just sitting around. Pretty Deadly, like 3 or 4 months ago, Pretty Deadly, everybody was talking about it. And now the reality is they're just like, they're playing party planners and planning a musical. That's bad. That's a bad use of a tag team that was getting hot. We Too Deep says, I had the same thought today. He focuses on the long term and misses the short term. That's what it's starting to feel like. And here's the thing. You hit home runs. You can hit a lot of home runs like that, We Too Deep. We saw what SummerSlam was, right? If you build two big events a year and you put all the cookies in that basket, you put all the eggs in that basket and you build, then your SummerSlams and your WrestleManias are going to be epic. But the problem is, those other 6 months, you've got to figure out what to do. And it doesn't feel like he's got all of that together. It feels like he talks about, we've got stories in place for the next 6 months. I think he says that on the WrestleMania documentary. That's great. I'm glad you've got stories for the next 6 months, but I think you've got destinations. I don't think you have stories planned. And that could end up being something that bites WWE in the ass a little bit. That's just the way I feel. What's up, Wavy D? Next year, SummerSlam has to get booked like Mania. What do you mean, Wrestling MV? I thought SummerSlam this year was perfect. I don't need 2 nights. I think 2 nights waters things down. Robinson, Nakua, and Jacobs so far were my first 3 picks. Doing great. Oh, he said this is fantasy football stuff. All right, third take of the night here. This is about Cody. We're going to talk about Cody for a minute. Cody Rhodes cannot keep relying on multiple finishers to beat guys at every premium live event. This is the type of thing that works when you're fighting Roman Reigns. You can do 3 crossroads because Roman is God tier. But you can't do 3 crossroads on someone like Kevin Owens. That just, and by the way, in the attempt to do the 3rd crossroads, Kevin Owens slips out and is able to hit a stunner. Like, I miss the days when we had a finisher and it finished the match. That was it, right? You hit the finisher and it finished the match. And I don't want to hear, because I already know. I can already hear. I can predict this. I'm ahead of it, right? I'm ahead of the IWC. Well, 3 crossroads is now Cody Rhodes' finisher. You just don't understand. That is, the sequence is the finisher. No, that's bullshit. That's video game shit. You guys got that from WWE 2K. It's not a finisher. There's no such thing as a super finisher. If you have to hit one move 3 times, it's a bad finisher. And this isn't exclusive to Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns is definitely guilty of this as well, right? How many times have we seen Roman Reigns have to use 3 spears and 4 Superman punches to get the job done? That just doesn't make sense. Go into your arsenal, have another set of moves that you can use, and then finish the match with the grand finale, the big firework finish. Stop with this multiple finishers to end a match. Stop with this no-selling finishers. It is absolutely ludicrous, and it treats the fans like they're stupid. So I'm getting there way too deep. 100%. That's the next thing I have written down. This is the Young Bucks mentality of wrestling. And guess who is guilty of being in the Young Bucks little, crew of wrestling? That's Kevin Owens. I love Kevin Owens. Think he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the WWE, but I don't think he's not immune to being a part of this new school of thought where you just eat finishers, you just eat moves, and as long as the pacing is fast and we're pulling off a lot of crazy shit, it doesn't matter. We just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. Like, I think that's a Young Bucks thing. But it's not just a Young Bucks thing, because it's been done in WWE as well. I just think that it's a trend, and it's getting worse, and it's getting worse, and it's getting worse. And the reality is, triple finishers, right? Triple crossroads. We'll call it the triple crossroads, should be reserved for WrestleMania. When the odds are against Cody Rhodes, when he's fighting a Roman Reigns, or he's fighting a Rock, or he's fighting a John Cena, and it looks like all hope is lost, and he's tried everything, then he can hit that triple crossroads, and we can breathe a sigh of relief and go, okay, that's what it took to beat a John Cena. That's what it takes to beat the final boss. But when you're using it Bash at Berlin against, Kevin Owens, and he's kicking out a 2 to 3 crossroads, it's losing its effect. Every time you do it, it's losing a little bit of that appeal. And I don't just blame Cody Rhodes. We have to start blaming the agents who are booking these matches and allowing, like, at some point they're having a conversation and they're like, I'm gonna hit the crossroads here, then I'm gonna hit the crossroads here, then I'm gonna hit the crossroads here, and then I'm gonna hit it 3 times here. Somebody's gotta step in and be like, no, don't do that. Stop doing that. That's bad. Let's do it one time. I'm even okay. Look, I'm gonna give a pass. I'll even be okay if early in the match, you slip one in and you get a crossroads off when the guy's not expecting it, and he kicks out and he gets up, he's like, oh shit, okay. All right, I wasn't ready for that. That got me. Now we can get into the rhythm of this match, and if you get that again, I'm not going to be that lucky next time. That's the only time I'll allow it. But like 3/4 of the way through a match to hit 3 finishers and a guy gets up, eats it, hits his finisher on you, it's bullshit. I see Dead Chef here, right, saying it. It's called a finisher for a reason. They're not finishers anymore. That's the problem. What do they call signature moves, special moves? No, they're finishers. Finishers are supposed to finish the match. There's a reason why, like, games like Mortal Kombat outsold some other, like, fighting games. It's because we all fought for the fatality. That's what we were there for. We wanted the end. We wanted to see that sequence of, like, crazy shit. I want to see when Roman Reigns hits the spear that we know it's over. That's it. It's done. I don't like the false finish. And even with the false finish, I said the false finish has to happen in the first 25% of the match. It cannot happen 3/4 of the way through. It cannot turn into you hit a finisher, I hit a finisher, you hit a finisher, I hit a finisher. I don't like it. 5 moves of doom. I remember. And Cena's to blame as well. Everybody can take a little bit of this blame. We could pass the blame pie around and let everybody take it. But the reality is, I'm not a fan of triple crossroads. I am not a fan of the idea that it now takes 3 of Cody Rhodes finishing. It takes 3 of his finishing moves to beat guys like Kevin Owens. And no disrespect to Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens has not been built to beat Roman Reigns. 3 finishers to beat Roman Reigns is okay. He was unbeatable. We were told that it was going to take climbing a mountain to beat Roman Reigns. That's fine. 3 finishers to beat The Rock. He's the final boss. He's being built that way. But 3 finishers to beat Kevin Owens just doesn't make sense. The only person that should be hitting a multiple finishers are R-Truth. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's because it's comedic. It's funny. Hot take, Wavy D. Sonya Deville will be the Chris Paul of the Baddie of the Night Awards. Will be in the mix many times but never win. That's because you picked the list. You come up with the list, Wavy D. You're going to keep putting her in there. I don't think I'd put her in there. Especially not after that shit she pulled on Monday Night Raw. Talking about none of you guys can take us home. We don't want to. We don't want to take you home, Sonya Deville. You play for the other team. We're not trying. Those odds are stacked against us. We're not. That's too much effort. What's We2Dude say? I'm not against false finishes. I just don't like when they are used in every match. I mean, sure. I guess that should go without saying, right? When it happens every so often, it surprises us, right? It's like blood in a match. When there's blood in every match, then you're just bleeding. We don't get an investment into it anymore. Like when CM Punk has started bleeding with the Drew McIntyre thing, it's elevated it because WWE's almost trained us that we're not allowed to have that. So yeah. So I agree with you, We2Deep. It is okay when it's used as almost like a gimmick. Like we wouldn't want every match to be a cage match, right? So when you use a false finish, it should be almost like the gimmick of the match. Is that, hey, we're going to have a false finish in this match. Nobody else can use that tonight because that is the gimmick for this match. All right. Let's switch over. We're going to do the class battle tonight. And I'm updating the rules a little bit to the game so that instead of just taking 2 classes, what we're going to do first is we're going to actually come up with the 5 wrestlers that represent each group. And then we'll have the big tournament, and I want everybody involved. I want everybody from the chat, everybody from the Discord. I want everybody voting on which team wins instead of just me and Mike going back and forth and talking about, this, because it's not going to be fair, right? At 24 years old, there may be 2 wrestlers, whereas at 35, there's going to be 15 wrestlers. So I think the work that we have to do to make this tournament proper is we're going to have to take these each year from 24 to 45 and create the 5 best, the starting 5, we'll call it, of each year, starting with the age of 37. So I put together a list here of 14 wrestlers aged 37 with the possibility of making the starting 5. At number 1, I have Becky Lynch. There's AJ Lee. There's Xavier Woods. There's Gunther. There's Kelly. There's Johnny Gargano. There's Caitlyn. There's Enzo Amore. Nick Aldis. Apollo Creed. Joe Gacy. Drew Gulak. Cash Wheeler. And Alexander Wolf. So quickly, right off the bat, I don't think anybody will argue with the fact that Becky Lynch is team captain. When you look at this list, out of this list, I think Becky Lynch is 1A. She is representing the class of 37. Becky Lynch is number 1. I'm gonna tell you something, Dead Chef. I thought Cash Wheeler was like 60. I thought the guys in FTR were completely older than they were. I don't have the list to put it on the screen. Maybe I do. Yeah, I do. I think I can. Let me see if I can do that. Let's go here. I can enlarge that. Where is it? Can y'all see? Let me see. All right, I think y'all can see that. There's the list. So I have Becky Lynch representing right off the bat from the top. And so that's number one. Now comes the conversation. We got to have conversations now. Number two, I'm looking at Gunther. I think is a solid. I'm with you. Yeah, Jay Bram, I'm with you. I think Gunther's the solid pick for number two. I think Becky and Gunther will kind of spearhead. There's not even really anybody else in that class, I'd say. So we go Becky and Gunther. Now we get interesting, right? We get, let's see. AJ Lee. I'll argue for AJ Lee. Kelly, I saw Wavy D say Kelly's a pioneer. Yeah, AJ Lee, CM Punk wife, J Bram. That's who we're talking about here. Xavier Woods is a tag team legend, right? Yeah, okay, Mike. I see you, Mike. So we're gonna go Xavier Woods. I would say that as well. So Becky Lynch, Gunther, Xavier Woods, Bobby Sherwood saying Kelly is trash. I think she, while was instrumental, I think if we really look back at Kelly, I don't think that's a wild statement. I actually would agree quite a bit that as far as like in-ring wrestling, Kelly definitely not one of my tops. What are y'all saying over here? Xavier Woods is solid. Okay, I think so. I think this top three is solid. Becky Lynch, Gunther, and Xavier Woods. I think that's solid. See, we got one for Gacy. We got Gargano and AJ. See, we're all over the place now. Now we're all over the place. We've gone from, I knew there was going to be solid picks in there. And now we're all over the place. I'm seeing Gargano, AJ, Johnny. If there's another one for Johnny Wrestling, Gacy, Becky, Gunther. We Too Deep says Becky, Gunther, Xavier, Gargano, and Gacy. Interesting. What's the argument for Gacy? Y'all got to tell me, what is the argument for Gacy? Because I didn't watch Schism and all that stuff. Is it legitimately, is Schism and the stuff he's done there, was that good that he makes the list? J Bram says Kelly for her ECW promos. They help through growing pains. I gotcha. This is representative because at the end of this thing, we're going to have a tournament. At the end of this, when each age group has a top five, we're going to have a tournament. So this is representing the class of 37. I'm seeing a lot for Johnny Gargano here. I'm seeing a lot of talk for Johnny Gargano in his NXT run. Nope, nobody Drew Gulak. No love for Drew Gulak here. No love for Enzo Amore. Gacy is good on the mic and in the ring. I just don't have enough. Okay, see, so now you're talking about CZW deathmatch. That's completely out of my repertoire. I don't know enough about any of that kind of shit. I didn't even know. I'll have to go look at that because that sounds interesting. I didn't know that he had that background. All right, so let's start talking. Let's narrow this down. Are we all in agreement that we could give spot number 4 to Johnny Gargano? It feels like we're all in agreement, and then we can fight it out for number 5. But are we in agreement that we give Johnny Gargano the 4th spot? Yes? Bobby says yes. Mike, what you thinking, Mike? All right, we got one from Wrestling MV, yes. So Becky Lynch, Gunther, Xavier. Okay, Mike, you're in agreement. Good. All right, we're solid there. Becky Lynch, Gunther, Xavier Woods, Johnny Gargano, round out the top 4. 5th spot. This is it. This is the center position, right? This is the big man, right? We're the last one on the roster here. AJ Lee, Kelly, Caitlyn, Enzo Amore, Nick Aldis, Apollo Creed, Joe Gacy, Drew Gulak, Cash Wheeler, Alexander Wolf. There's a push. There's a push for Wheeler by Dead Chef. Dead Chef, if you don't go back far enough with me to know that I think FTR are the most boring tag team in the world of all time, ever. I just don't understand. I know. And they shouldn't be, because they don't do flips and just fists. But for some reason, I find FTR to be so boring. I've never gotten behind, and I haven't watched a ton of them. I watched a little bit of them on AEW and just never could understand what it was. So we know it's not, Bobby says we know it's not Kelly and we know it's not Caitlyn. Fair. I'm good with that. We could write them off the list. AJ, because she's still loved a decade later. I agree. Yeah, I know. I mean, I get it. So I've always said this about FTR. I understand why people like them. It just doesn't tick the box for me. So I do understand. I don't dislike FTR. They don't take it for me. So all right, starting to see a lot with AJ. I'm good with AJ, especially because when we put this list against other years, it is going to, it's literally a popularity contest, right? When you talk about Joe Gacy, which I get like this history with whatever GZW or whatever, I don't think that, we start pulling our casual fan base, I don't think they're going to know anything about that. I think, so Dead Chef's okay with AJ. Mike, your vote has the most pull. You're okay with AJ. I see a lot of people saying, I think it's the same reason you don't find Gunther amusing. I agree. 100% agree, We Too Deep. 100%. I understand why y'all guys like Gunther. I just lay into the fact that I don't like that style of wrestling, and it doesn't appeal to me. It's just, and it's fun to play up on that idea. But I agree 100% that the same reason I don't find joy in FTR is the same reason I don't find a lot of love for Gunther. The show Heels. Yeah, AJ was on Heels too. I'm a huge AJ fan, so I'm okay. I think it looks like to me the consensus is we're putting AJ Lee in the top 5 here. Are we solid with this, guys? Are we solid with Becky Lynch, team captain, Gunther, Xavier Woods, Johnny Gargano, and AJ Lee? I think for the age of 37, I think that makes sense. I think it's solid. I think that's our first squad. Now we'll have to go back because I know last week we did 30 versus 35, but I think that was unfair the way we did it, because some of like, if you look like, I think it's like Charlotte Flair's year has a ton of people. We've got to narrow this down to 5. The first job is to make sure that every class has a starting 5. And that's the only 5 we look at to get to where we're going. All right, that's what I've got for tonight, unless anybody has anything else they want to drop on me here at the last minute. Dropped my hot takes. Kevin Nash would call that squad a bunch of vanilla midgets. Fuck Kevin Nash. Not everybody's 6'10" and moves like they got knees made of metal. All right, thank you guys for hanging out and coming to the Mike and D Wrestling Hot Take Show. As always, you're invited for all the rest of the shows this week, which will be the Nerdy D Pod on Wednesday, the Casual Wrestling Community Show on Thursday, which will be audio only. I've come to the thought process. It will be on YouTube. It will get posted on YouTube. But holy shit, Dead Chef, you said you're almost 6'10"? Holy shit. That's crazy. Yeah, Mike will be back next week. He got howdied this week, and we don't know. Mike, how long does it take to recover from getting howdied? That's what we need to know, is how long does it take to come back from actually being howdied? 6'8". Holy shit. All right. You big as fuck, man. But we also got the Smackdown after show. It's 4 months. 4 months to come back from being howdied. A lifetime. You never come back. All right. Raw after show on Monday, and we hope to see you guys here. Same place, same time next week for another Mike and D Bash. If you're not already in the Discord, make sure to go get in the Discord. The Discord's been on fire, man. We Too Deep's been on fire. Mike's been on fire. Wavy D's been on fire. Dead Chef's in there now. We got the whole squad up in there. If you're not baby back bitch, join the Discord and we can talk our shit. But for now, that's all we got. Like, share, and comment on this video. I am Nerdy D. Milwaukee Mike will be back next week, and we are out of here.